Yeah. Okay. So as I mentioned before, today's wellness office hours are about heart health, and we're going to focus on diet today, which is my expertise. So just, nutritionally, how can you prevent heart disease and how can you promote your heart health? And so the purpose of the presentation is to define heart disease. It's to define the risk factors for heart disease, and it's just to discuss how to prevent heart disease. And so this is great for anyone of all ages. You can start preventing heart disease young, old, so this is really for everyone. So I wanted to clarify what is heart disease. There are a few terms that are used interchangeably, but they're actually all different. So heart disease, cardiovascular disease, coronary artery disease, these are terms that most of us have heard before. But heart disease is actually a type of cardiovascular disease. So cardiovascular disease is the umbrella term for all things wrong with your heart or, like vascularly. And so heart disease is a term under cardiovascular disease. And coronary artery disease is a type of heart disease. And this is the disease that we're going to focus on today. And it's what you think of when you hear heart disease. It's, it occurs when plaque develops in arteries and blood vessels. And this can lead to heart attack and stroke. So coronary artery disease is what we traditionally think of when we think of heart disease. And just to give you basic biochemistry, nutrition, plaque is a waxy substance made of cholesterol, fatty molecules, and minerals, and it accumulates over time, and it's the result of high blood pressure, smoking, or if you have too much cholesterol or too much fat in your blood. And this can lead to heart attack and or stroke. And so this is kind of a scary slide. It's the prevalence of heart disease in the US. Heart disease is the leading cause of death for men and women in the United States, and this reigns true for most races. 1 in 4 Americans die from heart disease each year, and then about 18.2 million adults aged 20 and older have coronary artery disease. And so as you can see, age 20, that's pretty young. So more and more young people are actually getting heart disease now with just the modern American lifestyle. And then every 40 seconds, someone in the United States has a heart attack. And the scary thing about this is that many of them are silent. Some people just feel discomfort, nothing more, but the damage has already been done. So they have silent heart attacks, which can be honestly sometimes even scarier than the ones when you actually go to the hospital and get treated for them. And these are the risk factors for heart disease. So these are the things that can contribute to developing heart disease. The two things that are not italicized, family history and genetics, those are things that you don't really have any control over, obviously. But then the rest of the risk factors, those are things that you can modify through lifestyle changes. And so high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, if you have overweight and obesity, if you have an unhealthy diet, if you are physically inactive, smoking, excessive alcohol use, and poor stress management. These are all things that can contribute to the development of heart disease. Just because you have the family history or you have diabetes does not mean you are going to develop heart disease, but it certainly can increase your risk. And so we're going to focus today on the risk factor of unhealthy diet. And so I just wanted to show you that the purpose of this slide is to show you that an unhealthy diet can lead to, being overweight or obese, high cholesterol, diabetes, and high blood pressure. So not only is unhealthy diet a risk factor itself, but it also can lead to 4 other risk factors for heart disease. So diet is really important when it comes to heart health. And so how does diet contribute to heart disease? So there are 4 things we're going to be focusing on today. And some of you may have heard of these things and some of you may not. Trans fats, saturated fats, sodium, and sugar. And so these are the 4 things that are in our diet that can contribute to heart disease. Trans and saturated fats, these are just types of fats found in our food. Sodium is salt, and then of course sugar is sugar. So trans fats, all you really need to know for the sake of this presentation is that they raise your bad cholesterol. And as we learned in one of the previous slides, is that when your bad cholesterol is raised, that can lead to plaque formation, and that can, cause blockages to your heart. And so trans fats, they are found in baked goods, margarine, shortening, fried food. So this is French fries, fried chicken, a lot of fast food. Trans fat is found in fast food. Some brands of potato chips and frozen pizza, and some brands of crackers. Most foods do not have trans fats in them because they have been so unhealthy. They have been deemed so unhealthy that no one wants to have trans fats in their foods. But a good way to just, if you look at your packaging and it says that there's trans fats in it when you buy food, you definitely want to avoid that. But fried food for sure is one of the highest amount of trans fats that you're going to get, so it's important to avoid that. Saturated fats is another type of fat. So you don't need, it's just another type of fat that also raises your bad cholesterol. And saturated fats is mostly found in animal protein. So that is red meat, lamb, pork, cured meat, bacon, sausage, butter. Unfortunately, tropical oils such as coconut and palm oil. I always was cooking with coconut oil until I went to school and learned how much saturated fat is in coconut oil. Cheese, pastries, ice cream, coconut milk, all of these have really high amounts of saturated fat and can contribute to raising your bad cholesterol. Sodium, so this is salt. This contributes to heart disease by raising your blood pressure. And so sodium is found in canned soup and broth, lunch meat, salami, salad dressing, hot dogs, bagels, sausage, bacon. So again, a lot of meat is high in salt, and then a lot of things you would buy at the grocery store, like such as the canned soup, your packaged chips and cookies and things like that, they all have high amounts of salt. And so, it's better to avoid by cooking your own food at home or choosing healthier options, because when you do buy packaged things, most of the time they really are high in sodium. And it can be things like salad dressing that you think might be healthy, and they just pack in a ton of salt into these products. And so it's also important to look at nutrition labels when purchasing, condiments such as ketchup, mustards, and dressings. And then sugar, if you overconsume it, this is very simplified, it can raise your blood sugar. And if this happens consistently over time and you're just saturating your body with sugar, you could develop type 2 diabetes. And this, again, is a risk factor for heart disease. And so this is more straightforward, of course. Sugar is going to be in all your pastries, your desserts, milkshakes, fruit juice. Soda is really the big one. Soda is extremely overconsumed in the United States. And this is really what has been shooting up the cases of type 2 diabetes. Of course, candy, sugary cereal, and then condiments again. Yeah, condiments have a lot of sneaky things in them that you have to look at the nutrition label. And so the heart healthy diet is basically a plant-based diet. And so, as I said before, red meat, animal protein, that is going to have a lot of saturated fat. It's also going to have a lot of sodium. And so that is really going to increase your risk of heart disease if you're consuming a really heavy meat animal protein diet. And so a plant-based diet, that's really eating, a lot of fruits and vegetables, limiting intake of red meat, low-fat dairy products such as Greek yogurt, that is helpful to prevent heart disease. Poultry and fish, nuts and legumes, whole grains, and so your whole wheat breads, your brown rice, and your quinoa, and you want to avoid, the white bread, the white rice, and the bleached flour ingredients. And another way that you can have a heart healthy diet is to limit how much spicing your food with salt. And so you can choose other spices to add flavor to your food versus adding a ton of salt. So, garlic powder, onion powder, cumin, paprika, and just limiting that salt. And then cooking with olive oil, canola oil versus butter or lard. That's definitely going to be helpful. So overall, the heart healthy diet is mostly plants. And then, of course, like nuts and legumes, and just figuring creative ways to flavor your food without salt and butter. And this is a graphic that's very helpful from the Harvard School of Public Health. This is the kind of My Plate, Healthy Plate. And this just is a really good visual of how you would want to break down your plate for each meal. And so as you can see, half of your plate is going to be fruits and vegetables, with most of it being, vegetables. And you really want to aim for a variety, leafy greens, carrots, potatoes, peppers. Just the more variety, the better. Same with fruits, you want to eat variety. Whole grains, what I talked about, whole wheat bread, whole grain pasta, brown rice, and then limiting the white breads, the white rice, the white bread. Healthy protein, so this is fish, poultry, beans, and nuts, limiting red meat and cheese. Bacon, cold cuts, all the deli meats are pretty processed. And then cooking with healthy oils, so olive and canola oil, limiting butter, avoiding trans fat. So this just provides a good summary of everything I've said. And then, of course, water. You don't really want to be drinking sugary drinks. That's just a waste of calories. Aim for water, low sugar fruit juice, tea, coffee, anything that just doesn't have a lot of sugar in it. And other ways to prevent heart disease, stop smoking. Smoking is honestly one of the leading causes of heart disease. It just really destroys your arteries. Limiting alcohol intake. For women, this is 1 drink a day. For men, this is 2 drinks a day. Engaging in 30 minutes of activity per day, and managing your stress. So the main takeaways for this presentation, heart disease is really common, but it can be prevented. Even if you do have the family history of heart disease, or maybe you went to your doctor and you have some genetic predisposition to it, you can modify your risk by engaging in healthy activities, such as modifying your diet. And so that was the other takeaway. Diet has a profound effect on your risk of developing heart disease. If you really just go back to this plate right here, this visual, this provides a great summary of a heart healthy diet right here. And so again, eating fruits and vegetables, whole grains, healthy proteins. And choosing a plant-based diet is one of the best ways that you can decrease your risk of developing heart disease. And so this is why the June Wellness Challenge is Meatless Mondays. And so the idea is that you participate in one Meatless Monday for 1 month. And this can be any day of the week. For the month of the Wellness Challenge started on Wednesday, this June Wellness Challenge. And so for 1 day a week for a month, you pick a day. It doesn't have to be a Monday. You eat strictly vegetarian. And you are choosing meals that are rich in vegetables and fruit. Obviously, you need a protein source, and so you can use beans, lentils, eggs, soy products. I'm going to be providing some resources and some recipes so you know how to structure your meals. You can prepare your own food. You can purchase prepackaged vegetarian meals. You can pick vegetarian foods while eating out. And so really just the idea is to have you practice eating vegetarian just once a week so you can see what that feels like if you already are not vegetarian. And so these are just some recipe resources. I'm also going to be sending out some more information so that way you do know how to make your meals. And that was the end of the presentation. So if anybody has any questions, I can answer them about the challenge or about anything I talked about.
So, Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned frozen pizza is not good. How about pizza made from scratch?
I'm gonna stop sharing. Yeah, so pizza made from scratch is fine. A lot of the times, just the way that it's made, frozen pizza is made, trans fats can be made. And so when you're making your own food, you're not really going to be coming into the problem of having trans fats. And so that's a good point. So when in doubt, make your own food, because it's going to be a lot healthier, and you're going to be avoiding a lot of the things that might lead to heart disease.
One last question, because I love gelato, and I'm going to be consuming a lot of it, I think, this summer. Is gelato different than ice cream, sufficient so that it's going to be okay, or am I just fooling myself?
So ice cream, so the idea is that it's going to have saturated fat. They're both, I'm not sure about the exact amounts, but they both will have. I'm sure that gelato in Italy is much higher quality than American ice cream. So again, everything in moderation. I think you're going to be fine. If you're eating a well-balanced diet and then you're having a gelato a day, I think it's going to be okay. It's more just, everything combined, excessively consuming red meat and, a 12-ounce steak a day, and then eating, French fries and then a bunch of ice cream.
Sure.
And also you're doing a lot of walking, right? You're going to be doing a lot of walking.
Yeah, you're going to be doing a lot of walking. So again, everything in moderation. But the standard American diet right now is heavy on the saturated fat and trans fat. So, but I think you'll be okay in Italy.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then there were other questions. You can. Oh, so okay. Well, Emily, you had a question.
Yeah, but I think that Patty Masters had a question prior to me, and then Marissa also has a question in the chat. So please answer them first.
Okay. So let's see.
Yeah, and I put mine in the chat, so
Okay.
just go through that.
Okay, let's look at the chat. Okay. So, okay, so coconut oil, that's a good question. So the healthier oils that you would want to cook with are canola oil and olive oil. I know that, a lot of times people cook some of their cookies and stuff with coconut oil. So if you're actually baking it in, a lot of people actually use avocado as a substitute, which I know sounds weird, but it actually tastes good, and they can be helpful. If you're just cooking something with coconut oil, like like a stir fry or something, you can do canola or olive oil. And to answer about eggs, they actually are. So when I went to school, the idea was if you're eating cholesterol, you're going to raise your bad cholesterol. But now studies are showing that your intake of cholesterol actually does not impact your cholesterol. And so eggs are okay. Really what impacts your cholesterol is saturated and trans fats. So eggs are okay. Eggs do have saturated fat. They do have a little bit because they are an animal protein, but eating a few eggs a day, I do that. So that's okay. And Emily, yes, avocado oil is good too. Yeah. And Mark, did you have a question?
Yeah, quick question. I know they used to say red wine was good to have 2 glasses a night. What's the latest science on that? Is that still good for you?
Yeah, so the reason why they say wine is good for you is because it has an antioxidant called resveratrol in it. And so having a glass a day for a woman or 2 glasses a day for a man, that is the allotted amount that you can have. And that is what we call healthy stress. So having alcohol actually kind of builds up your system if you have it in the right amount, and it can make you healthier. And so that is what I learned in school. It also has resveratrol. So yeah, having for a man a few glasses of wine a day is totally fine. For a woman, one, depending on her size.
Do we get to decide the size of the glass?
Yes.
I think that it's the amount is it's in ounces. I'm gonna look it up right now. Unfortunately, you can't pick the glass. I think so. I think it's about 12 ounces is what The serving size is 5 ounces, actually.
Yeah.
It seems very low, but that's what
Yeah, I
it is.
hear Texas red wines are better than California red wines.
I'm just gonna double up because grandma said, to make sure that if you double up, you'll make sure that you get it.
Yeah, again, everything in moderation. Just pick the things. If wine is, you can have more wine. Wine is. Mhm.
Sarah, my question is, so I'm addicted to cheese currently, but is sheep's and goat cheese better than cow cheese, or is there no difference?
From my understanding, goat cheese has less saturated fat than regular cheese. So I can look up the numbers on that, but cow cheese, I believe, is a little bit worse for you. I think it's also higher fat. But instead of eating cheese, you could also do a lot of hummus and crackers, salsa and crackers. I know you're a big pesto girl, and so I think, everything in moderation. Goat cheese is a better choice, especially, goat cheese is a better choice. But there's also alternatives to, snacking for sure. Right.
Hey, Sarah.
Yes.
Greetings from the Rocket Ranch here in Houston, NASA. Just wanted to let you know that I had a little issue last week with my high blood pressure. My blood pressure jumped up, I should say, and so far it looks like it's because I was on kind of a low prescription pill that I would take once a day, and apparently I probably outlived its usefulness, I guess. They've got me on something else now, and it's controlling it a lot better and all that kind of stuff. So I guess you have to kind of go in and see the docs every once in a while, and make sure that your blood pressure is staying within the limits that it should be. Because it's supposed to be the silent killer. So if you don't really know it, or you don't have an event that drives it up, or gets you worried that something's actually going on, like it did me, then that'll sneak up on you. So it's very important to follow up.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Really, it's important to work with your doctor, your nurse practitioner, whoever you go see, to make sure that, if you are making changes, that, you're staying within the limits that you should be in. Super important. And if you are worried about blood pressure, you can always buy also a blood pressure cuff at home and do it yourself. So you can always be checking in on yourself. That doesn't replace going to a doctor, but it's that's really important when you're trying to work on your health, is of course going to the doctor frequently and just checking in with them. And then I think
one more quick thing about the sugars. I take, or I probably put in my coffee, a couple of teaspoons of local honey in my coffee, and is still a sugar, right? I mean, but is it a good sugar, a bad sugar, what? I mean,
So honey is sugar, but honey is better than just dumping a bunch of white cane sugar into your coffee, because it does have, there's some, there's some vitamins and minerals. There's a small amount more of nutritional value because it is honey. And the local honey, that could also be helping you with your allergies. I know I've heard of that before. So honey is definitely a better choice. It's still sugar, but there's going to be a little bit more nutritional value out of it just because it is honey.
Yeah, that's the reason why I take it, as far the having allergy issues or whatever, which I really don't have that. Never really have, but like a few years ago, all of a sudden it seems like something was sneaking up on me. I started sneezing a little more and stuff like that. I have it very mildly, I guess. And but as long as I've been taking this now, I don't seem to have those issues anymore.
Nice.
And I do it daily, so I think there's something to it. As far as me being the guinea pig, there seems to be something to it.
Well, Well, Barry, just remember, it's also Winnie the Pooh approved.
Hey, there
Um,
you go.
I
That's
think
right.
Tracy had a question. I see her hand raised.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi, everybody. Greetings from Atlanta. And Sarah, my question is, again, I'm addicted to pork. So, so instead of my bacon, pork sausage, even like ground beef, would turkey be a better alternative? And man, I don't, okay, I can do the turkey sausage and the turkey, ground turkey, but I'm not sure about that turkey bacon. I haven't been good with that. Maybe if they do it in a maple flavor, I may be able to do it.
Yeah. So I mean, yes. So having turkey and chicken for alternatives to like bacon and like beef sausage. So like chicken sausage, turkey bacon. I know grew up on turkey bacon, so I know it tastes different than the pork bacon. But it is a much healthier alternative for sure. Unfortunately, pork bacon is really, really bad for you. Sad. It's just not good for you. But again, moderation every once in a while, you can definitely go for it. But yeah, transitioning to turkey bacon, transitioning to chicken sausage, that's poultry, so it's going to be a healthier option than your pork sausage and bacon, unfortunately. But yeah, see what flavors they have. Maybe they have maple flavors. I'm not sure. I grew up on Jenny O's turkey bacon, so I'm not sure what flavors they have.
Well, I may have to try the Jenny O. That just took all of the Georgia out of me. It just took all of the Georgia out.
Yeah. So again, moderation. Have it every once in a while. But yeah, I like bacon too. It just isn't very healthy, unfortunately.
Sarah, can I say something? This is Sandra.
Hi, Sandra.
Hi, I'm Tracy. The uncured bacon is better for you.
Uncured?
Yes. So you can get like the Applegate or the I forgot the other one. I think it's about Thou Shalt Not or something like that. They're
Okay.
uncured, but uncured is much better for you.
Sandra, you're my shero.
I know.
And by the way, team, Sandra make me walk. She makes me walk.
But yeah, that's definitely a good point. You can always go to the uncured route, but poultry is definitely healthier than red meat. All right. And are there any other questions? I know
Well, that kind of kills the keto diet, right?
Don't do the keto diet. Don't do it.
What?
Don't do the keto diet. If you ask any dietitian, they're going to say no to the keto diet unless you have epilepsy or Alzheimer's. So
I don't know. Well, I need to get one of those in.
Yeah, no keto diet. Honestly, when in doubt, plant-based, whole food that you make at home, or if you have a restaurant that you like to go to, that's, eating lots of fruits and vegetables and brown rice. That's really the healthy way to go. All right. I see there's people chatting. Oh, so the good sugar versus bad sugar. Honestly, all sugar there isn't really a difference. Sugar isn't really that good for you, but obviously you need it to survive. So that's why you do it in like carbohydrate form rather than just eating table sugar.
So Sarah, like obviously there's a lot of sugar in fruits, and fruits are good for us. So how do we watch sugar, record sugar intake while trying to consume fruits?
So you don't have to. So the thing about fruit is that fruit has a lot of fiber as well. And so the way you're digesting it is differently than when you're just drinking a soda or something. So with fruit, eat fruit. Obviously if you have diabetes, that's a different story. But if you don't have diabetes, there's not really a limit, I wouldn't say, just because that fruit is more because of the fiber, because of the nutrients in it, you're digesting it a lot differently. So you don't have to worry about that. It's more like if you're eating a bunch of, like cake and pastries and cookies, and then you're drinking a gallon of Mountain Dew. That's when you have to get worried.
I do that, Sarah. Stop it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do. It's the standard American diet, so that's why I'm giving this presentation. But yeah, with fruit, you don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
Well, if there are no other questions, thank you so much, and you can always call me or email me if you have any other questions. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Awesome.
Sarah.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Nice job.
Thanks,
Bye.
Sarah.
Everyone, bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
All right.